name is Janis Ian. You may know me as the girl that Tina Fey named somebody after in one of her movies, or the first performer on Saturday Night Live, or the first woman to have a year-long #1 record in Japan. Of course, you probably don't know that if you live in Tennessee, where I live. But still, you know, it's a record. I have 9 Grammy nominations. I have 2 Grammys. I've sold over 40 million records worldwide. It's pretty cool. The coolest thing about being semi-famous is that I get to do what I want. I don't have to worry about impressing anybody. I don't have to worry about whether I'm going to be able to pay for gas this winter, although right now I'm not so sure about that. But I can do what I want musically too, and with something like At 17 or Society's Child or Jessie, I get to write the songs that I love and I care about instead of writing what the market wants. I got my first guitar when I was 10 years old because I stole my dad's Martin. He'd bought it when he was a farmer from an old lady who lived next door. Her husband had died. She'd found this guitar upstairs in the attic. He'd asked how much she wanted, and she said, well, she thought $25 would be fair. So he paid $25 for a 1939 Martin D18. That's the guitar I learned to play on. When I was 12, I wrote my first song on it. Got published at 13 and did my first gig with it at the Village Gate in New York. Recorded Society's Child with it when I was 14, had a hit when I was 15, and had the guitar stolen when I was 21. It came back 26 years later into my hands, courtesy of Vintage Guitar magazine. Since the time it came back, I've treated it like a beloved long-lost child. And I admit that that's a little goofy, but there you have it, because it's the only thing I have left of my dad. I believe in what I do. I believe in art. As cliched as it may be, I believe that art saves. I believe that art redeems. I think that artists are the true historians of any culture. I think that we musicians, by virtue of being born into the right time and the right place in the world, are in an unbelievably exotic position right now to be true to ourselves and to our work. I've written some hits. I've written many more flops than hits, but that's okay because people seem to remember the hits and not the flops. I like my life now. I call myself semi-famous because I feel like I have a smaller career but a bigger life. Back when I was having the bigger career and the smaller life, weird things would happen all the time. I would get to my room and find some girl in Australia had climbed up 5 or 6 stories of fire escape to hide in my bathtub so she could say hello. That was weird. The weirdest thing that ever happened was I played the Academy of Music in Philadelphia, which at the time had 2 balconies, and I was in the middle of At 17 and some girl jumped from the 2nd balcony trying to hit the stage. That's not the weird part. The weird part is they carted her off. She was perfectly fine. She was so stoned that she wasn't even hurt. But when I left the theater after the show, she was still outside. The police were still trying to cuff her. And as I got into my taxi, I watched her jump on one of their backs and start beating him up. That was weird. You know, I used to finish up a 2-hour show and I would walk off the stage really, really exhausted. I don't know what it is about those strings, but nowadays, when I finish up my gig anywhere in the world, I don't walk off the stage exhausted anymore. I kind of bounce off the stage, which sometimes, given my advanced years, is not that great a thing, but in general is pretty cool because after I finish a 2-hour show, I usually do 1 hour to 2 hours of signing. I don't know, there's something about those phosphor bronze strings I used from D'Addario that just, maybe my copper level's higher now, maybe I have higher lead levels or something, I don't know, but whatever it is, it lets me play better, it lets my guitars sound better, I don't have to change my strings as often, which is like the bane of my existence is changing strings, so I hate it. In general, they've done very good things for me, D'Addario. I love the strings. They're not very good with fried rice, I have to tell you that. But in general, they're wonderful, wonderful strings. Plus, for the women out there, D'Addario were one of the first companies to give endorsements to women. Most of the other companies that I went to went, oh, isn't that sweet that you play guitar? How cute is that? D'Addario actually treat me like a musician, and that's huge. Janis Ian, signing off.